The Crimson Colosseum stretched across 3 kilometers of polished obsidian, its towering spires disappearing into the artificial atmosphere of Station Nexus 7. 60,000 beings from across the galaxy had gathered to witness what many believed would be the shortest execution in the arena's bloody history. Kethavar the Inevitable stood at the center of the arena, his 4 muscular arms flexing as he adjusted his grip on Soul Render, the legendary blade that had never failed to claim a life. Standing nearly 3 meters tall, his chitinous exoskeleton bore the scars of 10,000 victories. The executioner's mandibles clicked in anticipation as he surveyed the crowd. In 500 years of combat, no challenger had survived longer than 12 minutes against him. Today's opponent was an oddity that had the bookmakers confused, a human named Marcus Chen. The human stood barely 2 meters tall, his pale skin unmarked by battle scars. He wore simple gray fatigues and carried no weapon, no armor, no enhancement augmentations that the scanners could detect. Most peculiar of all, he appeared calm. Not the desperate bravado of the doomed, but genuine serenity. Ambassador Zexhai of the Hegemony Council shifted uncomfortably in his luxury box. The human delegation had insisted on this combat trial to settle the territorial dispute over the Kepler colonies. If Chen lost, humanity would withdraw all claims. If he won, an impossibility according to every military analyst in the sector, the colonies would remain under human protection. "This is madness," Zexhai muttered to his aide. Why would they sacrifice this creature when diplomatic solutions remain available? His aide, a nervous Palaxian with quivering tentacles, whispered back, "Intelligence suggests humans have a concept called honor, Ambassador. Perhaps they prefer death to appearing weak." Down in the arena, the ceremonial gong resonated through the structure. Kethavar raised Soul Render high, its quantum-forged edge humming with lethal energy. The crowd's roar was deafening. Marcus Chen closed his eyes and took a deep breath. Kethavar charged with the speed of a gravitic missile, all 4 arms working in perfect coordination. Soul Render descended in a killing arc that should have bisected the human cleanly. Instead, Chen stepped slightly to his left. The blade missed by centimeters. The executioner's momentum carried him past his target. Confused, he spun around, mandibles clicking rapidly. In 5 centuries, no opponent had ever evaded his opening strike. Luck, he decided. Primitive reflexes wouldn't save the human from the next attack. Chen remained motionless, hands at his sides, watching. Kethavar launched into the 7-fold death, a combination attack that had slaughtered armies. Each strike came from a different angle, creating an inescapable web of death. The human moved like smoke, each motion minimal, economical. The massive blade whistled through empty air again and again. The crowd's bloodthirsty cheers began to fade, replaced by confused murmurs. This wasn't how executions were supposed to proceed. For 20 minutes, Kethavar pressed his assault with increasing fury. Every technique from across the galaxy, every killing form he had mastered, every trick learned from fallen opponents, all met with the same result. The human seemed to exist in the spaces between attacks, never where the blade expected him to be. Marcus Chen hadn't raised his hands once. Ambassador Zexhai leaned forward, his scales bristling with interest. "What combat discipline is this? I've never seen anything like it in our databases." In the arena, Kethavar's breathing had become labored. His exoskeleton gleamed with perspiration, and his 4 arms trembled slightly from exhaustion. The human looked as fresh as when the match began. "How?" Kethavar gasped, lowering Soul Render for a moment. "What are you?" Chen opened his eyes fully for the first time since the combat began. "I'm a teacher," he said quietly, his voice somehow carrying clearly through the vast arena. "From a place called Shaolin." The executioner's compound eyes widened. He had faced wizards who commanded reality itself. Cyborg warriors augmented beyond biological limits, even energy beings that existed partially outside normal space. But this was different. This human moved like water, flowed like wind, and saw attacks before they formed in the attacker's mind. Kethavar raised Soul Render one final time. If skill couldn't defeat this creature, perhaps brute force could. He poured every ounce of his strength into a devastating overhead strike that would have split a battlecruiser in half. Marcus Chen stepped forward and caught the executioner's primary wrist. The impact of that gentle grip sent shockwaves through Kethavar's entire arm. For the first time in his existence, Soul Render stopped mid-strike. The human's fingers, soft and unaugmented, held firm against strength that could crumple starship armor. Your technique is impressive, Chen said conversationally. But you fight against your opponents. True mastery comes from fighting with them. Chen guided Kethvar's arm in a smooth circle. The executioner found himself off balance, his own momentum working against him. With movements too fluid to follow, the human redirected that massive strength and sent Kethvar tumbling across the arena floor. The legendary warrior hit the obsidian surface hard, his exoskeleton cracking. Soulrender skittered away from his grip, its quantum edge flickering and dying. 60,000 beings sat in absolute silence. Kethvar struggled to his knees, then slowly rose. His mandibles clicked once in what those familiar with his species recognized as respect. "I have never been defeated," he said. "In 500 years of combat, no blade has drawn my blood, no warrior has bested my technique. You have accomplished both without striking a single blow." The executioner walked to where Soulrender lay and lifted it carefully. The quantum edge reignited at his touch, humming with renewed power. He approached Chen slowly, deliberately. Then, in a gesture that stunned the galaxy, Kethvar knelt and offered the legendary blade to his opponent. "I am no longer worthy to wield this," he said. "It belongs to one who has truly mastered the art of war." Marcus Chen regarded the offered weapon thoughtfully. "I don't seek to master war," he said. "I seek to end it." But he accepted Soulrender with both hands, bowing respectfully to its former bearer. The crowd erupted. In the luxury boxes, military strategists frantically began revising their assessments of human combat capabilities. Ambassador Zexai found himself reconsidering everything he thought he knew about this recently discovered species. As Chen walked toward the arena exit, Soulrender across his back, Kethvar fell into step beside him. "Where will you go now?" the former executioner asked. "Home," Chen replied simply. "I have students waiting for their next lesson." Behind them, the Crimson Coliseum's announcer struggled to find words for what they had all witnessed. In the luxury boxes, the Hegemony Council was already drafting new treaties with humanity, not as subjects to be conquered, but as equals to be respected. The human delegation smiled quietly among themselves. They had sent exactly the right teacher for this particular lesson. The galaxy had just learned that sometimes the greatest strength lies not in the ability to destroy, but in choosing not to use it.